My dear beloved people of God, this Sunday gives us some of the most powerful teachings of our religion. The first reading from the book of Leviticus has 3 themes which are related to today's gospel passage, which gives Jesus' last 2 antitheses or epitheses which he preached from the mountain. First theme is on taking vengeance or revenge. Second, on loving others. Third, on being holy just as God is holy. Let's begin with the first one, on taking revenge. Jesus says, if someone strikes you on the right cheek, show the other. Now, if someone has to strike on my right cheek, it would mean that he has to hit by this part of the hand, the other side of the fingers. Not this way directly, but this way, if he has to hit me on the right cheek. In Judaism, that meant a greater insult to the person who was hit. So Jesus says, but do not retaliate. Second, Jesus says, if someone sees you to the coat, and if you are about to lose your outer garment or the shirt, give freely or willingly even the inner garment, although you are not bound to give that. Jesus says, but do not retaliate, do not fight back. Thirdly, Jesus says, if someone asks you to carry a burden or some equipments to some distance, especially in that context, equipments or burden given by an oppressor, if you have to take it, or if you are asked to take for 1 kilometer, take it 2 kilometers, but do not retaliate. In all these 3 cases, Jesus says that you have the power to act, but Jesus says, do not act in a rough manner. Never use violence, because Jesus does not endorse violence. Even when he was being killed on the cross, Jesus had all the power to retaliate, but he never retaliated. Jesus does not endorse the principle of tit for tat. What Jesus means here is this: a disciple of Jesus, a true Christian, is asked to go out of his way in the interest of the others by helping them. I'll give you one simple example. Normally, people would go and give some alms or money to a beggar. All kinds of people, even of other religion, do that. But Jesus means to say this: for a Christian, he should not only just give alms or go and offer something, but go a step further. That is, go and inquire about the health of the beggar and even inquire about his or her life story. That would mean going an extra mile for somebody. Okay, now let's move on. Jesus says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And in this way, you will become the sons and daughters of your Heavenly Father. By the way, the Old Testament never taught to hate others. Maybe later on the Pharisees interpreted wrongly, introducing hate for the enemies. What Old Testament teaches is this: to love one's neighbor as oneself. But this neighbor meant only the people of their clan, their race. In other words, only another Jew, not an outsider. But when Jesus says to love others, the love commandment of Jesus includes everyone. He calls to love everybody, extending even to one's enemies. And the best example that Jesus has given us in the Gospels is that of the story of the Good Samaritan. Love always impels us to do good action towards others. It is only with love that we can move outward in helping someone. And Jesus says, if we do good actions towards our enemies, especially in times of difficulties, that can melt their hearts. In this way, an enemy can also turn into your friend. It is said rightly by someone that when we forgive, we represent God the most, because forgiving is not natural for human beings. But for God it is. It is the character and nature of God to forgive and to love. He forgives and loves everybody. And therefore Jesus says in the gospel passage, He makes the rain fall on the good ones as well as on the bad ones. It is difficult to forgive our enemies, but not impossible. Therefore, the first step would be to pray for the person who persecutes you, who creates problems for you, whom you consider your enemy. Finally, just as it is said in today's first reading, be holy as I, your God, am holy. Jesus in today's gospel passage says, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. The word holy is just replaced by perfect. There are two aspects here, being ontologically perfect and ethically perfect. The ontological perfection is impossible for us human beings because that is proper only to God. But to some extent, we all human beings can attain ethical perfection. And Jesus invites us today to strive for that perfection. Jesus invites us today to be people of love, not of revenge and hatred. Give love and you will receive love. May God bless each one of you.